Megan Thompson had always been driven by a fierce sense of justice and compassion. Growing up in a small town, she was the kind of child who would scold her classmates for teasing stray animals or leave her lunch untouched to feed the hungry. As she matured, Megan's unwavering dedication to animal rights developed into a career. After earning her degree in social work, she took a position at a local nonprofit that focused on providing support and resources for veterans. This job was not just a job, it was her passion. Throughout her years with the organization, Megan formed deep connections with the local veteran community, becoming an advocate not only for their mental health but also for their well-being in various aspects of life. She quickly learned that many veterans faced challenges far greater than the physical wounds they returned with from combat. Issues like PTSD, anxiety, and reintegration into civilian life loomed large after service ended. A significant aspect of her work involved connecting veterans with service dogs, trained companions that could offer comfort and stability. Among them was Michael Reyes, a veteran whose struggles were evident when Megan first met him. His experiences haunted his nights and clouded his days. Yet, he radiated genuine gratitude whenever he spoke about his beloved service dog, Scout, a chocolate lab who seemed to understand Michael's unspoken pain better than anyone else could. The bond they shared was palpable and reinvigorated both their lives. Megan immersed herself in ensuring that veterans like Michael were aware of their rights regarding service animals. They deserved companions that understood their hardships without judgment. She organized workshops emphasizing the importance of these animals in helping veterans cope with daily challenges and navigate spaces that often felt intimidating due to trauma. As her involvement deepened, so did Megan's understanding of the barriers veterans faced when trying to obtain proper accommodations for their service animals. Local businesses sometimes faltered in recognizing the legitimacy of emotional support animals versus regular pets, which created additional stress and isolation for individuals seeking solace through companionship. One afternoon, while reviewing applications for funding new programs within the organization, she received an unexpected call from Michael, urgency lacing his voice. He explained how he had gone to a grocery store earlier that day when an employee confronted him about bringing Scout inside, a clear violation of ADA regulations protecting service animals' rights. The encounter left him shaken, feelings of shame and worthlessness flooded back as he recalled moments spent battling darker thoughts post-deployment. Megan's heart sank as she listened. Even though it wasn't uncommon for veterans to face misunderstandings concerning service dogs, hearing it directly from Michael struck a chord deep within her. Determined to help him reclaim his dignity, she retorted swiftly that they would address this affront head-on. In her mind, this wasn't simply about one individual facing scrutiny, it reflected systemic issues plaguing veterans across the country. When they arrived at the grocery store later that day, nerves ignited hope in equal measure as Megan prepared to confront management on behalf of Michael while emphasizing legal protections available under federal law. Clutching legal documents outlining these guidelines while keeping a gentle hand on Scout's fur, she stepped inside confident yet compassionate. Things took a drastic turn during their meeting after speaking with store management and presenting documentation illustrating the necessity of service animals in public spaces. She could sense resistance forming around her, once supportive demeanor evaporating into thin air amidst rising tensions between employees. When things devolved further into hostile exchanges surrounding both Scout's presence and what felt like malicious accusations toward Michael's character as a veteran, the breaking point came swiftly. Within 30 minutes of heated discourse where clarity had transpired instead into accusations aimed at both Megan's integrity and motives, she abruptly lost her job over what was purportedly overt defiance against company policy. As regret sank into despair about how swiftly fate turned against her advocacy efforts that day, much like a punch thrown without forewarning, Megan couldn't shake images looping back through her mind. Michael standing there vulnerable while betrayal lingered thick in every exchanged glance before chaos ensued around them. But what she hadn't anticipated was how quickly this injustice would spark another layer entirely within their community. A movement rooted not just in frustration but inevitably reigniting hope among those ready to rally behind them as warriors emerged from unexpected corners. The afternoon sun streamed through the windows of the grocery store, illuminating the aisles filled with bustling shoppers. It was a seemingly ordinary day, but for Michael Reyes, it marked the beginning of an unexpected confrontation that would alter both his life and Megan Thompson's forever. Armed with a determined spirit and Scout by his side, he stepped into the store, ready to tackle the mundane task of grocery shopping, a necessity that often felt daunting due to his struggles with PTSD. As they meandered through the aisles, Michael felt a sense of comfort from Scout trotting alongside him. The dog's presence was more than just companionship, it was a lifeline that helped him combat the anxiety that had shadowed him since his time in service. However, as they approached the produce section, an employee suddenly appeared, blocking their path. "Excuse me, sir," the employee said sharply, eyeing Scout with visible suspicion. "You can't have that dog in here." Michael felt his stomach drop as panic began to set in. "She's a service dog," he replied, trying to maintain his composure. "She helps me manage my condition." The employee crossed her arms defiantly, clearly unconvinced. "We don't allow pets in the store," she insisted. "You'll have to take her outside." Michael's heart raced. This wasn't merely an inconvenience, it struck at the very core of what made him feel safe in public spaces. He turned away from her piercing gaze and fumbled for his phone to call Megan. Meanwhile, on her end of the line, Megan was buried under paperwork as she reviewed grant applications for new programs aimed at helping veterans like Michael. When she answered Michael's call and heard desperation in his voice, her heart sank instantly. She rushed out of her office and headed for the store, resolve hardening within her. Upon arrival, Megan found Michael standing near the entrance with Scout seated dutifully at his feet. His face was pale, shadows underlined his eyes, spoke volumes about his anxiety and frustration. With a reassuring smile, she walked over to him and knelt down beside Scout. "What happened?" she asked gently. After recounting the encounter with the employee, Megan felt anger bubbling within her, anger not just for Michael but for all veterans who faced similar struggles in public spaces due to ignorance or prejudice against service animals. "We're going inside," she declared firmly as they made their way back toward customer service where management awaited them. Once inside, Megan introduced herself as an advocate working closely with veterans and explained the importance of service dogs under federal law, in particular how they should be allowed access to any establishment open to the public, regardless of company policy regarding pets. She presented documentation outlining these rights while asking them to reconsider their stance. However, rather than receiving a sympathetic ear or understanding management willing to amend their error in judgment, the atmosphere turned from tense to hostile quickly as employees began whispering amongst themselves and soon gathered around them like vultures sensing conflict. "Ma'am," one manager interjected brusquely after hearing enough of Megan's rationale. "You need to understand that we have our rules here." Megan felt her patience thinning as she glanced back at Michael, whose expression fluctuated between vulnerability and defiance. She could see how much this moment meant for him. Not just standing up for himself but asserting dignity long withheld by lingering trauma from his service days. "I'm not asking you to bend your rules," she countered staunchly. "I'm telling you this is a violation of ADA regulations protecting rights afforded to individuals with disabilities." The manager's response came swift and icy. He accused her of being overly aggressive and disrespectful toward store employees who were only doing their jobs, casting aspersions on both Michael's character and Megan's motives as an advocate. In less than half an hour filled with rising tensions spinning wildly out of control, Megan found herself being escorted away from the premises under claims of overt defiance against company policy. A job lost in moments marked by chaos rather than compassion. As they exited into daylight again, Michael shaken yet grateful for Megan's support despite everything while despair settled heavily upon her shoulders. She reflected on how swiftly fate had turned against them both during what had begun as just another ordinary day focused on tackling everyday tasks that should have been simple yet became anything but. For now though, amidst frustration simmering below surface level, the seeds were planted not only for change rooted deep within their local community but a deeper resolve igniting fire among those ready to rally behind veterans like Michael who deserved far more recognition than shame served cold by ignorance alone. As Megan stood outside the grocery store, the weight of her sudden job loss pressed down on her like a heavy fog, clouding her thoughts and drowning out the world around her. The vibrant afternoon sun seemed to mock her misery, its warmth felt distant and hollow. She glanced at Michael, who stood nearby, his expression torn between gratitude for her support and concern for what had just transpired. Their shared connection was strong, yet Megan couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal that coursed through her veins. For years, she had dedicated herself to fighting for the rights of veterans and their service animals, believing in the profound impact these dogs had on their owners' lives. The thought of losing her job over a confrontation that should have been straightforward felt like a cruel twist of fate. How could an organization she fought so hard for turn its back on someone trying to defend what was right? The frustration bubbled within her. It was an indignation that transcended just herself. It extended to every veteran faced with misunderstanding or hostility because they dared to seek help from a service animal. Her commitment to this cause ran deep. It was woven into the very fabric of who she was. Megan had seen firsthand how service dogs transformed lives, providing stability and comfort to those haunted by unseen scars, and she couldn't fathom a world where such bonds could be dismissed so easily. As she replayed the confrontation with the store management in her mind, anger ignited within her once more. Their dismissive attitudes felt like a personal attack not only against Michael but against all veterans struggling to navigate public spaces after their service. "I can't believe this is happening," she murmured under her breath as she watched Michael struggle to maintain his composure. He deserved better than this, a world where he could feel accepted rather than shunned for needing support. It tore at Megan's heart knowing how hard he fought every day just to reclaim a sense of normalcy after his time in combat. "Are you okay?" Michael asked gently, concern lacing his voice as he stepped closer to her side. "I will be," she replied with a shaky smile, though inside she felt anything but okay. Resilience defined her approach to life, yet today that resolve felt fragile against the storm of emotions surging within. "I just can't help but feel betrayed." Michael nodded knowingly. They both understood betrayal on different levels, their own battles intertwined in ways neither of them had anticipated. He took a moment before speaking again, choosing his words carefully as if searching for a lifeline amid turbulent waters. "Megan, what you did today, standing up for me like that," he paused and took a deep breath. "It means everything. You're my voice in this fight." Her heart swelled despite the sorrow threatening to overwhelm her. Hearing those words ignited a flicker of hope amidst despair. His gratitude reminded her why she chose this path in the first place, to uplift those who felt voiceless and marginalized. Yet his gratitude mingled with frustration and unsettling thought gnawed at Megan. What would happen now? Without a job and with the backlash looming from management's perspective, would she lose not only her career but also support for veterans? It felt unjust that one encounter could undo everything she had built over the years. As they walked away from the store together, Scout trotting alongside them, Megan found solace in their shared struggle. This incident wasn't just about them anymore, it became emblematic of larger systemic issues confronting veterans across America daily. The fire in her stomach began shifting. Rather than burning away into bitterness or despair, it transformed into a steely determination fueled by love for those who relied on their canine companions. "It's not over," she whispered resolutely to Michael as they reached his car parked outside. "If anything, this is just the beginning. We have a voice now." He looked at her with renewed determination in his eyes, a spark ignited between them forged from hardship shaping into purpose. In the back of Megan's mind lingered thoughts of community advocacy blossoming from tragedy, a chance to rally others around their cause. To send ripples into society that could no longer ignore injustices against veterans like Michael, who merely sought companionship through trained service dogs during battle against invisible scars left behind long after applause faded for modern-day warriors, returning home from distant lands. In the days following her confrontation at the grocery store, Megan Thompson found herself at the center of an outpouring of community support that was both overwhelming and heartening. News of her dismissal spread quickly through social media and local news outlets, capturing the attention of friends, family, and advocates who shared her commitment to veterans' rights. It was a testament to the connections she had fostered over the years, a reminder that her efforts were not in vain. Friends began organizing grassroots gatherings, urging those who knew Megan to come together in solidarity with her and Michael Reyes. Within a week, what started as a small gathering at a local cafe blossomed into a full-blown rally in the town square, with advocates ready to voice their support for both Megan and the veteran community. Banners reading slogans like "Service dogs are essential" and "Support our veterans" lined the streets, filled with vibrant colors that contrasted beautifully with the setting autumn leaves. On the day of the rally, Megan arrived feeling a mix of emotions. Gratitude washed over her as she recognized familiar faces mingling amongst the crowd, people she had worked with over the years on various projects supporting veterans. Her heart swelled as she caught sight of Michael at the front, standing tall beside Scout, visibly moved by the overwhelming support. The camaraderie offered hope. It was a reminder of how interconnected their struggles were and how powerful voices could be when coming together for change. The rally commenced with speeches from local leaders, individuals who shared Megan's vision for improved conditions for veterans. They spoke passionately about the importance of acknowledging service animals and understanding their role in helping individuals reclaim pieces of their lives that trauma had stolen away. As these speakers took their turns at the microphone, Megan felt a renewed sense of purpose rise within her. "Today isn't just about me or Michael," one speaker declared, igniting cheers from the crowd. "It's about all those who have been marginalized and silenced. It's time for us to stand together and demand our rights." Applause erupted as hands clapped in rhythm with hearts pounding in solidarity. Inspiring testimonials from veterans echoed throughout the square, painting vivid pictures of battles faced both on foreign soil and within their own communities. Each narrative reinforced why Megan had dedicated her life to advocacy. She felt an indescribable connection to each voice. As the day progressed, supporters handed out flyers detailing ADA regulations pertaining to service animals, educating not only attendees but also passers-by who had stumbled upon the rally. Conversations sparked among locals who were previously unaware of how crucial these issues were for veterans. They posed questions eager for answers while others eagerly recounted similar experiences they'd encountered regarding discrimination against service dogs. Megan felt tears pricking her eyes as she watched this beautiful tapestry of community support unfold before her. It felt like healing was taking place not just for herself but for everyone involved. Friends approached her with hugs, expressing their unwavering belief in her mission and offering to help however they could: legal aid, organizing more events, or even just lending an empathetic ear. The sense of unity forged bonds that transcended individual pain. It evolved into a larger movement, one that would ripple through their town and beyond. Social media erupted with hashtags like #StandWithMegan and #VeteransAndServiceDogs, causing discussions to ignite across platforms far beyond their small community. As evening set in and people began dispersing, Michael approached Megan with a smile that radiated warmth despite everything they had faced together. "Thank you for being here today," he said earnestly. "You've given so many people hope." Just then, unexpected guests began to arrive. Several Marines showing up in uniform caught their attention, a striking contrast to the casual attire worn by most attendees. They introduced themselves as former comrades inspired by Megan's story shared through social media channels earlier that day. "We heard what happened," one sergeant stated firmly. "We want to support you both in any way we can." The sheer determination glowing in their faces reignited a spark within Megan. It became abundantly clear that their fight was far from over. It was growing stronger, empowered by people devoted not only to advocating for veterans but also enriching lives through unity born from adversity. Together, they stood stronger than ever, a network forged not just from pain but resilience, and their mission expanded beyond one job lost or one act of injustice committed. It evolved into a collective force intent on reshaping perceptions surrounding veterans' rights and elevating voices that deserve to be heard. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the rally, a group of Marines arrived, their presence instantly commanding attention. Clad in their uniforms, they walked with a confidence that spoke of discipline and camaraderie forged in the fires of service. The atmosphere shifted as people turned to observe these unexpected guests. Whispers filled the air, curiosity piqued as onlookers wondered what had brought them to this gathering. Among them was Sergeant Jacob Torres, a seasoned Marine with deep-set eyes that reflected both wisdom and a sense of duty. He had served multiple tours overseas, witnessing the harsh realities of war and the toll it took on his fellow servicemen and women. Alongside him were Corporals Sarah Ramirez and Mark Stevens, both of whom had shared experiences that shaped their unwavering commitment to supporting veterans long after they hung up their uniforms. The Marines had learned about Megan's situation through social media. Jacob, who followed various veteran advocacy pages, came across a post detailing her confrontation at the grocery store and how she lost her job defending Michael and Scout. It struck a chord within him. He had seen too many veterans struggle without the support they deserved, and he felt compelled to take action. "Hey, did you hear about the woman who stood up for that vet?" Jacob asked his comrades during a break at their base. "We need to do something." Sarah had immediately agreed. "It's outrageous that someone would lose their job for defending a veteran. We can't let this go unnoticed." Mark nodded in agreement. "Let's show them that we stand together. Veterans supporting veterans, that's how it should be." As they approached the rally, they spotted Michael standing tall among supporters, Scout lying calmly at his feet. Megan was nearby, speaking animatedly with a group of attendees when she noticed the Marines entering the square. A mixture of surprise and gratitude washed over her as she recognized their intent. This was no mere show of presence, it was solidarity in action. The three Marines made their way toward Megan and Michael, ready to lend their voices to the cause. Jacob stepped forward first, extending his hand to Megan with genuine warmth. "We heard what happened and we want you to know that we support you," he said sincerely. Megan felt a rush of emotion as she shook his hand. Their shared connection as veterans, one through service and another through advocacy, created an unspoken bond between them. "Thank you for being here," she replied, her voice steady yet tinged with appreciation. "It means more than you know." The Marines quickly integrated themselves into the rally, encouraging attendees to share their own stories of discrimination or obstacles faced due to misunderstandings surrounding service animals. They began handing out flyers outlining rights under the Americans with Disabilities Act (ADA), ensuring everyone understood how vital it was for veterans like Michael to have access to their service dogs in public spaces. As they spoke passionately about the significance of service dogs in helping veterans cope with challenges like PTSD and anxiety, the crowd erupted in applause. The Marines stood firm, an embodiment of strength and hope, and their words resonated deeply among those present. "Every veteran deserves respect," Jacob declared from the makeshift stage created for speakers. "Every veteran who needs a service dog deserves to have that dog by their side in every space, no exceptions. We are here today not just for Michael, but for every veteran who has faced discrimination because of ignorance." His words ignited fire within the crowd as cheers erupted once again. Employees from local businesses who had gathered now contemplating how they could better support veterans within their own establishments. As daylight faded into dusk, Megan felt an overwhelming sense of purpose rekindle within her, a reminder that they were not alone in this fight. Together with these Marines and everyone else at the rally, they represented a collective push toward change. A movement determined to confront misconceptions head-on and ensure that all veterans received the respect and accommodations they fought so hard for during their service. With each passing moment, it became clear that this connection with the Marine Corps was not merely coincidental, it was part of something much larger than any individual struggle. It was about strengthening convictions rooted in loyalty, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to uplift those in need. As Megan looked around at the gathering crowd, their faces alight with conviction, she understood that they were not just fighting for Michael or even for her own job lost. They were rallying for justice on behalf of every veteran who had ever faced an unfair battle against ignorance or prejudice. As the rally progressed, the excitement in the air was palpable, but the Marines felt a deeper responsibility begin to stir within them. After exchanging thoughts following their speeches, Jacob, Sarah, and Mark gathered in a quieter area of the park to discuss concrete actions they could take to bolster their support for Megan, Michael, and the wider veteran community. Jacob initiated their strategy session. "We need to turn this momentum into something actionable," he stated emphatically. "We can't just rally once and expect things to change. Our voices can only carry so far unless we amplify them collectively." His sincerity resonated with the other two. They understood that now was the time to capitalize on their presence and extend their influence beyond today's events. Mark nodded vigorously. "I think we should start by organizing a petition to gather signatures, something to show local businesses and lawmakers that the community stands firmly against discrimination toward veterans and their service animals. We'll need something tangible that demonstrates just how widespread this issue is." "Great idea," Sarah chimed in. "And we can host informational sessions at community centers. We need to educate people on their rights regarding service dogs and dispel myths about what it means to have one. Knowledge is power." They began brainstorming logistics, jotting down ideas on a notepad resting on the picnic table before them. Jacob suggested crafting flyers that outlined how businesses can legally accommodate service dogs in compliance with the ADA regulations, a simple yet effective tool that could help others avoid similar conflicts like Michael's experience. "Once we have everything printed out, we can distribute them widely," he elaborated. "Local coffee shops, libraries, schools, anywhere people gather would be beneficial." The hope was not just to create awareness but also to foster discussions around these crucial topics. Mark added, "Plus, we could collaborate with local veteran organizations and seek endorsements from prominent community members or local officials. It might give our movement more credibility." Eagerly flipping through potential contacts on his phone, Mark proposed reaching out to local news outlets as well. "If we can get some media coverage on everything we're planning, the petition drive educational events will not only reach more people but establish a stronger foundation for change." With creative sparks flying among them, the Marines quickly devised an action plan that would manifest over the next few weeks. To kick off their campaign, they decided to host a follow-up event soon after the rally, an informational forum where community experts could speak about veterans' rights alongside personal stories from individuals like Michael who had been impacted by discrimination. We can even invite someone from a legal aid organization specializing in veteran affairs or animal rights, Jacob suggested, envisioning the impact such collaboration would have. Ensuring synergy between their efforts and those already engaged in advocacy work proved essential. They aimed not only for action but also solid partnerships within the community. Before long, they had laid out a rough timeline: circulate flyers by next week, begin collecting signatures for a petition at local hotspots over the following month. Then host the informational forum in collaboration with existing organizations dedicated to veteran causes. As they concluded their meeting beneath an archway of colorful fall leaves, an electric sense of determination settled among them. Each Marine understood that this fight extended beyond individual grievances. It represented a collective battle against systemic changes rooted in misunderstanding. Meanwhile, as Megan continued engaging with rally attendees who expressed gratitude for her advocacy work earlier that day, both she and Michael became aware of something shifting within themselves too. A sense of being part of something larger began infusing their spirits with newfound energy. Later that evening, as they walked back through town together alongside Scout, Megan turned toward Michael with enthusiasm shining in her eyes. "Did you see how receptive people were today? This isn't just noise, it's an opportunity. We can make a real difference." Michael nodded thoughtfully while strokes of confidence ignited within him too. The view ahead no longer felt obstructed by discouragement or isolation from ignorance. It transformed instead into rich pathways illuminated by support layered beneath every shared battle cry echoing within their hearts. With plans set in motion by both Megan's unwavering dedication and enthusiastic support from advocates like Jacob's team of Marines, they understood now it would require sustained efforts from all corners of society working together as one unified voice. A mighty call determined not just solely for clarity surrounding legal protections granted under ADA but deeply rooted within compassionate understanding fostered amongst communities eager to uplift their veterans. As the sun began its slow descent, casting a golden hue over the rally, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. The crowd had swelled, filled with supporters holding signs and banners advocating for veterans' rights and the importance of service animals. Just as the energy reached a crescendo, the unmistakable sound of marching boots echoed through the park, drawing everyone's attention toward the entrance. A group of Marines led by Sergeant Jacob Torres strode confidently into view, their uniforms crisp and their demeanor resolute. The sight of these veterans, symbols of strength and commitment, shifted the rally's energy from excitement to profound respect. A hush fell over the crowd as they recognized the significance of this show of force. It was a powerful reminder that they were not alone in this fight. Jacob led his fellow Marines toward the makeshift stage where Megan and Michael had been speaking earlier. As they arrived, cheers erupted from the crowd, a wave of support washing over them. People raised their signs higher, chanting slogans like "Support our veterans" and "Service dogs are essential." The presence of the Marines elevated the rally from a local event into something larger. It was now a movement that commanded attention. Megan felt her heart swell with pride and gratitude as she watched the Marines integrate into the crowd, their camaraderie evident as they greeted fellow veterans and community members with enthusiasm. Jacob stepped forward to address the audience, his voice strong and steady. "We are here today not just to support our brothers and sisters in arms but to stand against discrimination faced by those who have served this nation," he declared. His words met with thunderous applause. The media quickly took notice of this unexpected turnout. News cameras zoomed in, capturing not only the Marines but also the deep emotions filling the air, the hope, the determination, and the unwavering spirit of solidarity among veterans, families, and advocates alike. Journalists began interviewing attendees, eager to hear personal stories about why they were present and how experiences like Michael's had affected their lives. As Jacob continued speaking, he articulated the importance of service dogs in helping veterans cope with PTSD and anxiety. "These animals are not just pets, they are lifelines," he emphasized passionately. "We must ensure that every veteran has access to their service animal in every public space without fear of discrimination." His words resonated deeply within the hearts of those present. They were not merely a statement but a rallying cry that swept through the crowd. Sarah and Mark assisted in distributing flyers that informed attendees about their rights concerning service animals under ADA regulations. The Marines' presence not only amplified their message but also provided a sense of legitimacy that encouraged many to engage in discussions about their own experiences. Conversations erupted throughout the park as people shared personal stories of adversity and triumph, creating an atmosphere rich with empathy and understanding. The local news outlets began broadcasting live from the event, capturing poignant moments that highlighted both Megan's advocacy and Michael's journey. They interviewed Jacob, who spoke with conviction about their mission to educate and empower their community. His words shaped a narrative that resonated beyond the rally itself, one that illustrated how collective action could drive social change. As darkness began to fall, lights strung around the park illuminated faces filled with hope and determination. Megan stood amidst this gathering of support, a mosaic of individuals united for a common cause, and felt an overwhelming sense of purpose wash over her. This was no longer just about her job loss or one veteran's experience. It had transformed into a movement fueled by compassion and resilience. The camaraderie forged between Megan, Michael, and the Marines became emblematic of what it truly meant to fight for justice, showing that when individuals come together in solidarity, they wield a power capable of reshaping perceptions and dismantling ignorance. The sheer presence of the Marines at the rally had turned an ordinary gathering into an extraordinary show of force, a demonstration that echoed far beyond their town. It was clear that their advocacy would continue long after this day ended. It had sparked a fire within each person present, igniting a collective commitment to ensure veterans received the dignity and respect they deserved. As the rally drew to a close, Megan felt a renewed sense of hope, not just for herself or Michael, but for every veteran who had ever struggled against discrimination. They were no longer alone. They had allies standing beside them, ready to march forward together in pursuit of justice. As the rally concluded, local and national media began to take notice of the powerful stories unfolding within this gathering. The coverage would not just focus on a single incident but also highlight a larger narrative concerning the struggles faced by veterans and their service animals. News crews arrived in droves, eager to capture the palpable energy and sense of unity that had permeated the air all day. Local news stations quickly dispatched reporters to conduct live interviews with attendees, including Megan, Michael, and several Marines who had rallied in support. Cameras rolled as they discussed the importance of service dogs in helping veterans manage mental health issues like PTSD and anxiety. Megan spoke passionately about her commitment to advocating for veterans' rights and how her experience at the grocery store was a wake-up call for many. "This isn't just about me," she emphasized. "It's about every veteran who has faced ignorance or discrimination because they brought their service dog into a public space." The stories being shared by veterans like Michael struck a chord with viewers, turning an isolated incident into a topic of broad public interest. Journalists began reporting on the inadequacies in understanding ADA regulations among business employees and management, particularly regarding how these rules protect veterans who rely on their service dogs for emotional support. Within days, what began as a local rally transformed into a national conversation fueled by social media. Hashtags like #ServiceSupport and #VeteranRights began trending, giving voices to countless individuals who had similar experiences with discrimination. The media's coverage showcased the need for systemic change, emphasizing how training and education surrounding service animals must be prioritized. As local newspapers published articles drawing attention to the rally and its implications, editorial pieces began surfacing that questioned how well society supports its veterans. Different publications featured opinion pieces calling for greater awareness and empathy toward the challenges faced by those who have served in the military. The issue resonated deeply across various platforms, with comment sections filled with personal anecdotes from individuals who felt compelled to share their own stories of adversity. Not long after, national networks picked up the story, sending reporters to cover Megan's advocacy and the Marines' involvement at the rally. Major news outlets recognized that perceptions around service animals and veteran rights were not merely contentious issues limited to local concerns. They were part of a much larger fabric of how society treats its most vulnerable members. Television segments offered in-depth analysis of ADA regulations, featuring legal experts explaining the rights afforded to veterans against discrimination. They highlighted instances where local businesses faltered in making accommodations, not just for Michael but for many others navigating similar experiences. As major news programs featured segments showcasing footage from the rally and community responses, more citizens began coming forward to share their stories. Nonprofits dedicated to supporting veterans reached out to propose partnerships with Megan and her allies to enhance their educational efforts while facilitating workshops aimed at raising awareness on rights surrounding service animals. Inspirited by the response, Jacob and his fellow Marines seized this opportunity to further amplify their initial plans for educating both businesses and members of their community on these critical issues. They organized meetings with local chambers of commerce to discuss how businesses could implement training on ADA compliance regarding service animals, providing essential resources that could prevent confusion or discrimination. The momentum was palpable as press conferences were scheduled where Meghan stood alongside legal advocates and representatives from veteran organizations discussing specific action plans moving forward. The collective effort resulted in increased visibility on an issue once described as not particularly understood, now flowing into productive dialogue within community forums nationwide. Meghan watched as her small town transformed into a focal point for change. Lives outside her own were being positively affected due to connections made through shared purpose over intuitive conversations prompted during the rally days prior. It was clear that this was just the beginning, a catalyst leading toward broader realization ignited through community solidarity. Ultimately, the media coverage did more than just bring attention. It cultivated an environment where deeper conversations could flourish, driving substantial questions about respect for all individuals regardless of their service needs. As awareness grew, so did hopes for systemic reforms that would ensure veterans received proper accommodations not only in public spaces but throughout their daily lives. In the aftermath of the rally and the growing media attention surrounding Meghan Thompson's advocacy for veterans' rights, local businesses and government officials began to respond to the situation in significant ways. The rally had not only illuminated the injustices faced by veterans like Michael Reyes but also highlighted a broader societal need for change in how service animals are perceived and accommodated in public spaces. Initially, many local businesses reacted with caution. Some owners were uncertain about how to approach the topic, worried about potential backlash or scrutiny regarding their policies. However, those fears were quickly replaced with motivation as community members began to reach out to express their support for veterans and the importance of understanding ADA regulations. One grocery store chain, which had been closely following the situation, recognized an opportunity to take a stand. Management decided to implement training sessions for all employees centered around service animal laws and customer rights. They issued a public statement acknowledging the need for better education on these important issues. Our commitment is to ensure that every customer, especially those who have served our country, feels welcomed and respected in our stores, their press release read. This proactive approach, reflecting on recent events, was met with praise from the community and positioned the store as a leader in support of veterans' rights. Meanwhile, other local businesses began to take similar steps. Cafes, restaurants, and retail shops started to host workshops in partnership with veteran organizations. These sessions were designed not only to educate staff but also to encourage open discussions about service dogs and the challenges veterans face when accessing public spaces. By fostering a more inclusive environment, these businesses aim to build trust within the community and show their commitment to supporting those who served. Local government officials also began taking note of the public response. In a town hall meeting shortly after the rally, several council members addressed the importance of taking meaningful action regarding ADA compliance and veterans' rights. A councilwoman named Elaine Morris took a stand, stating, "This isn't just about legal obligations, it's about doing what's right and ensuring our community supports those who have sacrificed for our country." Her impassioned speech led to a proposal being discussed, the establishment of an advisory committee focusing on veterans' needs concerning accessibility and rights related to service animals. As discussions continued at both local government levels and within business communities, initiatives to enhance awareness spread rapidly. The news media reported on these developments, further emphasizing that the story was evolving into one focused on taking actionable steps toward positive changes rather than merely highlighting past injustices. Meghan herself was invited to speak at several local government meetings where she shared her personal experiences advocating for Michael and other veterans. With each presentation, she challenged officials to consider how their decisions could impact individuals trying to navigate everyday life while carrying invisible burdens from their service. Her genuine approach resonated deeply with both officials and constituents alike. In response to these grassroots efforts, an upcoming city council meeting was scheduled specifically to address these issues directly, prompting citizens to come forth with their stories and suggestions. Reports indicated that attendance would be high, as people from various backgrounds wrote letters or signed petitions in support of proposed changes regarding service animal policies. The local media's continued coverage helped maintain momentum. As more voices joined the conversation, it became clear that this issue transcended mere local interest. It had become a national conversation. Veterans' rights organizations across the country contacted Megan for interviews, eager to learn how they might replicate such successful community mobilizations elsewhere. As authorities responded with open hearts and minds, Megan felt a resonance among supporters where there once was silence. It illuminated a collective desire not merely for change but acknowledgement of each veteran's journey. Ultimately, lasting change requires more than goodwill. It demands education and persistent advocacy efforts spearheaded by individuals unafraid to challenge preconceptions entrenched within society. The momentum from this rally catalyzed such transformations not only in local businesses but also within governing bodies dedicated to championing justice for veterans. A movement grounded in respect and unity born from heartfelt connections formed through shared struggles. As the months unfolded after the rally, both Megan Thompson and Michael Reyes found a renewed sense of purpose alongside a deepened bond formed through their shared struggle. The community's response to their advocacy had been overwhelmingly positive, resulting in tangible changes that brought them both closure and hope for the future. Megan took time to reflect on her journey since losing her job, a moment that once felt like a devastating blow had transformed into a catalyst for change. She recognized that while she faced personal setbacks, her advocacy efforts sparked an important dialogue within the community. The training programs implemented by local businesses showed promise in reshaping attitudes towards service animals and their vital role in veterans' lives. One crisp morning, Megan attended a meeting with several business owners at a local cafe that had recently adopted new policies regarding service animals. She was invited to speak about the importance of fostering inclusive environments for veterans and how these changes could create lasting positive impacts within the community. Megan felt empowered as she shared statistics on how properly trained employees could reduce instances of discrimination and improve veterans' experiences. It's about more than just compliance with laws, she explained passionately to the attentive audience. It's about creating spaces where our veterans feel seen, understood, and respected for the sacrifices they've made. Her heartfelt words resonated deeply with those present, igniting conversations about further initiatives they could pursue together. Meanwhile, Michael was emerging as a voice for veterans in his own right. Inspired by the attention their situation had garnered, he began collaborating with local veteran organizations to share his experiences while advocating for others who faced discrimination. Michael worked on developing workshops aimed at educating fellow veterans about their rights under the ADA, empowering them with the knowledge they needed to stand firm in public spaces when confronted with ignorance. Every time we educate someone, we take a step closer to ensuring every veteran has access to what they need, Michael said during one of his presentations. His sincerity and personal narrative made a powerful impact, drawing in standing room-only crowds eager to learn from his journey. The transformation was evident not only in local business practices but also among government officials who recognized the momentum generated by Megan's advocacy and Michael's resilience. City council meetings became platforms where citizens were encouraged to voice their thoughts and propose additional measures towards enhancing support systems for veterans. The advisory committee proposed earlier began taking shape as community members collaborated on creating a comprehensive plan that would ensure service animal policies were consistent across various sectors: healthcare facilities, schools, retail spaces, and more. Policies surrounding employment protections improved too. Advocacy groups engaged in dialogues with local leaders about enacting legislation that would safeguard employees who stood up for veterans' rights in similar situations as Megan's. This progressive approach meant that no one would have to fear losing their job for defending someone facing discrimination again. In light of these developments, the media continued to spotlight Megan's and Michael's advocacy efforts well beyond their local community. Various news outlets documented how grassroots movements could lead to impactful policy changes when driven by passionate individuals fueled by a desire for justice. Their efforts became an inspirational story nationwide. Communities began replicating their model of advocacy, recognizing that systemic change often starts from within individual neighborhoods. On a particularly reflective day, Megan and Michael met at a park where they often held discussions with supporters following the rally. As they sat on a bench overlooking a small pond filled with ducks gliding effortlessly across the water, both found an opportunity to reflect on how far they had come. "I never imagined something good could come out of such a tough experience," Megan admitted quietly. "But seeing all this positive change unfold makes it worth every struggle." Michael nodded in agreement. "It's incredible how our stories have united people and sparked action beyond anything we could have envisioned alone." They remained there for some time, basking in the warmth of community support and hopeful possibilities ahead, a quiet moment underscored by gratitude for each other's resilience and unwavering commitment to advocacy. While challenges remained, discrimination against veterans still lurked beneath the surface. They felt confident witnessing how engaging discussions around inclusive policy changes had laid foundations for future security. Together, they found closure not just through individual healing but through collective progress resulting from voices raised in unison. Their fight fueled not just by anger over injustices but by love for those who had served and understanding those hidden scars carried far too long without acknowledgement or respect. The story of Megan Thompson and Michael Reyes serves as a poignant reminder of the power of advocacy, community support, and the vital importance of standing up for marginalized individuals. Their journey highlights how personal struggles can catalyze collective movements, leading to significant societal change when individuals unite around a common cause. At its heart, this narrative demonstrates that standing up for what's right can often come at a personal cost. Megan's loss of her job for defending Michael and his service dog could have been a moment of despair, but instead it sparked a broader conversation about veterans' rights and the treatment of service animals. Her willingness to confront discrimination illuminated the challenges faced by many veterans in public spaces, fostering dialogue that transcended their initial experience. The growing community support that followed underscores the importance of solidarity. When people come together in defense of shared values such as dignity, respect, and justice, the impact can be transformative. The rally organized by friends, family, and supporters became not just a show of strength but also a platform for educating others about the rights of veterans and the necessity of advocating for them. It demonstrated that grassroots movements have the potential to effect change by mobilizing community members to raise their voices collectively. Moreover, the involvement of former Marines added an extra layer of significance to the movement. Their commitment to standing alongside Megan and Michael highlighted that advocacy is not limited to those directly affected by an issue. Allies can be instrumental in amplifying messages and driving change. By integrating their experiences and insights into the conversation, the Marines helped to legitimize the movement in ways that resonated with both local residents and broader audiences. This story also emphasizes the role of education in advocacy. As local businesses began implementing training programs on service animal laws and ADA regulations, it became evident that knowledge is a crucial tool in combating ignorance and bias. By equipping employees with information about their legal obligations and the importance of service animals in veterans' lives, businesses could foster more inclusive environments. It was a tangible step toward dismantling stereotypes surrounding both veterans and service dogs. Furthermore, the involvement of local government officials in discussions about veterans' rights showcased how advocacy can lead to policy changes. When officials understand the challenges faced by their constituents, they are more likely to enact policies that provide real support. The proposal for an advisory committee focused on veteran needs is an example of how advocacy can lead directly to systemic improvements that benefit entire communities. The ripple effects of Megan's actions extend beyond her own community. They serve as a model for other towns grappling with similar issues. As media attention grew around their story, it ignited conversations across the nation regarding how society treats its most vulnerable members. The narrative became one of hope, a testament to the idea that even small actions can lead to larger movements capable of reshaping societal norms. Additionally, Megan's and Michael's experiences highlight the necessity for continued advocacy work. The realization that discrimination against veterans persists reminds us that progress is an ongoing journey requiring vigilance and commitment. Their story illustrates that while significant strides have been made, there is still much work to be done in ensuring all individuals are treated with dignity and respect, especially those who have sacrificed so much for their country. In reflecting on these broader implications, it becomes clear that advocacy is much more than individual acts of courage. It involves building a network of support that encourages others to speak out against injustice. The collective energy generated by such movements can create lasting change within communities and elevate issues that may have otherwise gone unnoticed. Ultimately, the journey taken by Megan Thompson and Michael Reyes teaches us about resilience, the power of community connection, and the necessity of empathy in addressing the needs of marginalized individuals. Their story encourages us all to engage with these principles actively, reminding us that when we stand together against discrimination, we not only uplift those who are oppressed but also enrich our own lives through shared understanding and compassion. In light of the inspiring journey of Megan Thompson and Michael Reyes, it is vital that we recognize the importance of advocacy for veterans and service animals along with the need for fairness in workplaces. Their story illustrates how collective action can affect meaningful change and underscores the idea that every individual has a role to play in supporting those who are marginalized. If you feel compelled to make a difference, there are several ways you can get involved. Start by educating yourself and those around you about the rights of veterans under the Americans with Disabilities Act (ADA). Understanding these regulations is crucial in ensuring that service animals are recognized and accepted in all public spaces. Share this information with friends, family, and coworkers so that more people are aware of the dignity and respect that veterans deserve. Consider reaching out to local veteran organizations or advocacy groups that focus on promoting awareness for disabled veterans and their needs. Volunteering your time or resources to these organizations can directly contribute to their efforts in fighting discrimination. By actively participating in workshops or community events organized by these groups, you not only gain deeper insights into the challenges faced by veterans but also become part of a larger movement pushing for systemic change. Another effective way to advocate is by contacting your local government officials. Express your support for policies that enhance protections for veterans and ensure compliance with service animal laws in public accommodations. Encourage them to consider initiatives that may include training programs for businesses, heightened awareness campaigns about veterans' rights, and legislative proposals aimed at preventing discrimination. When elected officials hear from engaged constituents, they are more likely to act on issues pertinent to their community. Moreover, if you work in a business setting or know someone who does, suggest implementing training sessions focused on service animals and ADA regulations. Whether it's retail stores, restaurants, or even schools, employees should be equipped with knowledge on how to interact appropriately with veterans accompanied by service animals. This proactive approach fosters a welcoming environment for all individuals while preventing future incidents of discrimination. Social media serves as an impactful avenue for advocacy as well. Share stories like Megan's and Michael's across your platforms, advocate for changes regarding service animal policies, and voice support for initiatives benefiting veterans' rights. By harnessing the power of social media, you can amplify important messages and motivate others to become advocates, creating a ripple effect within your network. Additionally, consider supporting legislation aimed at safeguarding workplace fairness for employees advocating for the rights of veterans. Stay informed about bills being proposed in your state or community, write letters or attend meetings to express your stance on the importance of protecting individuals who stand up against discrimination at work. Employment security is paramount, especially for those who bravely defend the rights of others. Finally, don't underestimate the power of empathy in advocacy. Engage in conversations with veterans in your community, listen to their experiences, and understand their needs on a personal level. By fostering genuine connections based on compassion and understanding, you reinforce the message that every veteran's journey deserves recognition and respect. Megan Thompson's and Michael Reyes' story exemplifies what can happen when advocates come together, fueled by shared purpose and resilience. As citizens committed to justice and equality, we must embody that spirit by standing up against discrimination wherever it exists, within our neighborhoods, workplaces, or beyond. The journey toward equity is ongoing. While valuable strides have been made due to advocacy efforts within communities like theirs, there is still much work ahead to ensure all voices are heard and respected. It's a call not just to support those facing injustice but also to create environments where everyone, especially marginalized individuals, can thrive free from prejudice. Let us take Megan's commitment to heart. Be bold in speaking out against discrimination, champion the rights of veterans, promote awareness about service animals, foster fair workplaces. All while building inclusive communities grounded in respect and understanding. Together we can honor those who served our nation by ensuring they receive not only recognition but also fair treatment wherever they go. Your involvement matters today more than ever, so let's advocate passionately. Change begins with each one of us stepping forward together.